I want to start with a data point that stayed with me for years. In a 2021 National Cancer Institute study, researchers looked at what happens after scientists receive their first major grant, an R01. And what they found was this: about half never get a second one. But here's the part that stopped me cold. 14% of scientists who earn an R01 never even apply again. They don't fail, they don't get rejected, they simply stop. That raises an uncomfortable question. If these scientists are capable, creative, well-trained, funded, and have invested decades getting to this point, why would they choose not to continue? The data tell us something important. Scientists who do reapply succeed at similar rates across age groups. So this isn't a talent problem. It's something else. In my experience, the issue is sustainability. Getting the first R01 is treated like reaching the summit, but for many people it doesn't feel like arrival. It feels like standing on one peak and suddenly seeing a much steeper one directly ahead. Because once you get that R01, a lot quietly shifts. Expectations increase, administrative and leadership responsibilities expand, the margin for error feels smaller, not larger, and much of the structured support disappears. No more early-stage investigator status, fewer formal mentors, less room to experiment. The message becomes, you've shown you can do it, now do it again and again. I've spent more than 30 years in academic medicine and biomedical science. I've been a faculty member inside the system. I've overseen academic affairs at a major cancer center. I've worked closely with hundreds of investigators across career stages. And what I've seen, again and again, is this: we're not losing scientists because they can't do the work. We're losing them because the system is optimized for getting people to success initially and much less effective at helping them sustain themselves afterward. The scientists I work with say things like, "I'm more successful than I've ever been and more exhausted. I feel constant pressure, but very little support. I don't know how long I can keep doing this." They aren't broken, they're worn down, and often they can't quite name why. Here's what I've learned. At mid-career, the real risk isn't stress itself. It's not understanding how pressure is shaping your decisions, your confidence, and sense of agency, especially at a moment when the choices you make have long-term consequences. Most scientists are operating on autopilot under chronic pressure, not because they lack insight, but because they've never been given a way to see their pattern clearly. That's why the first step in my work isn't advice or strategy, it's clarity. I use a research-based tool called the Energy Leadership Index, or ELI. It's an attitudinal assessment that shows how you respond to pressure and stress, not as a personality label, but as a dynamic pattern that shifts depending on context. It reveals where you're operating from growth and choice, and where survival-based patterns may be quietly draining your energy and confidence. After you complete the assessment, we meet one-on-one for a full hour. Together we translate the results into your real life as a scientist. We look at how you're currently meeting pressure, what's sustaining you and what isn't, and where your reactions are automatic versus intentional. The goal isn't self-improvement, it's self-understanding at exactly the moment when clarity matters most. Imagine the next phase of your career with a clearer internal compass. Not more effort, not more grit, just a better understanding of how you operate under pressure, so your decisions are deliberate, not reactive. That kind of clarity changes everything. Now, some people tell me I should be able to figure this out on my own. But science trains us to solve technical problems, not to navigate the human experience of long-term success under pressure. Others say, I don't even know what I want. That's not a problem. That's exactly where clarity matters. If you're at the point where the stakes feel high and the path forward feels less clear than it used to, I offer the Energy Leadership Index assessment with a private one-on-one debrief. It's a focused, contained way to understand where you are before making bigger decisions about what comes next. For some people, that insight is enough. For others, it becomes the foundation for deeper coaching work. Either way, clarity comes first. If this resonates, you can get started using the button near this video. We'll talk about where you are, how pressure is shaping your experience, and what options actually exist. Even if we don't work together beyond that, you'll leave with more clarity than you came in with. If that feels useful, I'd be glad to work with you.